Many people were disappointed with my review of Minecraft Dungeons. The main reason was a suggestion that I only played through the base difficulty, spent about 3 hours with the game total, and then I just wrote my review. For the record, this isn't the case. I actually spent about 4 or 5 hours with the game, and I actually finished about half of the next difficulty tier, and nothing I saw there changed my perspective on the game. Still, I want to acknowledge that I could have done a better job in that review. I could have explained things more clearly, and I certainly could have highlighted the good parts of the game better than I did. The truth is, I disliked the game so strongly that I forgot to explain who might enjoy the game and why, and that's not a good review, and I definitely apologize for dropping the ball. That's the primary driver behind this updated review. I want to provide a more complete and balanced view of the game. Since the original went live, I've gone back and I've now finished all 3 difficulty tiers of the game, reaching character level 68 and power level 98. There's now nothing left for me to do other than a few of the secret mini dungeons. None of my conclusions about this game have changed, but in this updated video, I want to provide a broader perspective, allowing people to make a more informed purchase decision. As an aside, I'll be putting the other review on unlisted so that it will still be available on YouTube, but it won't surface when people are doing Google searches and that sort of thing. Anyway, let's have another crack at reviewing Minecraft Dungeons. Minecraft Dungeons is developed under the Mojang Studios umbrella. It's not the first Minecraft spin-off, but it is the first to step into the ARPG genre, one that is dominated by more adult-oriented titles such as Diablo and Path of Exile and Grim Dawn. Predictably, Minecraft Dungeons shoots for a younger audience, aiming to appeal to a demographic that's likely never played an ARPG before. The game does have a story, but it's a very lightweight offering. A brief cutscene of 10 or 15 seconds will play at the start of each level, and no story is delivered during any of the missions. With a franchise as beloved as this one, there would have been a chance to introduce compelling heroes or villains for children to cheer for. Sadly, that opportunity was not seized. The game has 9 main levels as well as 5 secret levels. I managed to find one of those secrets while playing and noted that it served as a sort of mini dungeon, being about a quarter of the length of a traditional mission and far less ornate in its design. Each of the 9 main missions will take you approximately 15 to 20 minutes to complete, depending on how well geared you are for it. This means that the base difficulty of the game can be completed in around 3 hours or so, which is how long it took me. Completing default difficulty unlocks adventure difficulty, which is the same levels as before, only now populated with more enemies, and each enemy now has more health and damage output. Completing this difficulty took me around 4 hours, as I had to grind out a few missions to collect specific upgrades. The final difficulty, Apocalypse, is a further step up, as it has even more enemies and their stats are buffed even more. I finished this difficulty in about 4 hours as well, bringing my total play time with the game to around 11 or 12 hours, give or take. Minecraft Dungeons content feels threadbare owing to the limited number of play spaces. Within the first 3 hours, you have seen 90% of what this game has to offer. Additional difficulties do not offer meaningful changes to map design or level mechanics. This can make your time spent with the game feel extremely repetitive. While build diversity does make gameplay more interesting later on, it isn't compelling enough to compensate for what feels like a skint offering. Each of the areas do a good job of delivering on Minecraft's aesthetic. The game was built in the Unreal Engine, giving the developers a lot of flexibility to design and animate events in a way that Minecraft fans are sure to appreciate. Blocky heroes, spiders, zombies, emeralds, the pickaxe, all are brought to life in a way that hasn't been seen before. For children, this new perspective on things is sure to bring a smile. Music is one area of the game that feels underserviced. Minecraft has always had a sparse soundtrack, but here things feel particularly quiet. Levels here look great, but seem to lack a sense of immersion that music can often help define. Exploration is sorely lacking. You'll often follow a path that you know is away from your objective, only to find no enemies, no loot, and lots of dead ends. This happens often enough that you'll eventually lose the motivation to go off the beaten path. This feels like a critical oversight in a franchise that is much known for its sense of exploration and discovery. Additionally, the 9 main levels feel very formulaic. There's always 1 or 2 ambush scenes where a gate will lock and you'll have to complete a few waves of enemies. Some missions might give you a few objectives to click on. You'll reach the end and fight either a brief boss or another wave of enemies. You'll fight the same 3 mini-bosses multiple times, with the golem appearing upwards of 3 or 4 times in a single level sometimes. Some levels do have unique mechanics like floor traps or bouncing pads, but barring the visual differences, each level feels rather indistinct from the last. Exploring these levels with a mouse and keyboard can be a challenge. There are no WASD movement keybinds, and clicking to move with the mouse can be inconsistent owing to the blocky and uneven terrain. One glaring issue is that objects in the foreground are clickable, sending your character off in strange directions when you accidentally click a cliff above you or anywhere near a pillar. For this reason, playing with a controller is highly recommended. Minecraft Dungeons is a co-op game. You can play couch co-op, but it doesn't offer any online matchmaking, so if you don't have any friends to play with, like myself, you'll be playing solo. From what I can tell, this game has very much been balanced around co-op play, and this is problematic as some of the design choices may frustrate solo players. Ranged enemies are a good example of this. The primary way that Minecraft Dungeons increases difficulty is through the use of additional ranged enemies. As you progress from default into adventure into apocalypse, you'll see fewer and fewer melee enemies as ranged enemies take their place. This might be fine in co-op play, as ranged enemies would be targeting multiple players. Playing solo, entire rooms full of ranged enemies can make for a near impossible barrier that will likely frustrate the younger audience that this game is intended for. Another example is the 3 lives systems the game utilizes. In co-op play, teammates can resurrect each other within a time limit. While playing solo, you have 3 lives, and if you die, you're sent back to camp and you have to do the mission again from the start. It's a punishing design choice that is at odds with how other ARPGs handle death, and again, it may frustrate younger players looking to play on their own. Like other ARPGs, Minecraft Dungeons lives and dies on the strength of its combat, its build diversity, and its progression. In these aspects, the game serves up a highly streamlined offering that may please those looking for something simple, but will surely disappoint those looking for something more sophisticated. Combat is built around the use of a melee weapon and a variant of a bow. There's a wide variety of different weapons on offer, each with their own animations, swing timers, and unique benefits. Using a claymore feels distinctly different from a great hammer or a katana, and players will arrive at their preferred arsenal as they continue to move through the game's difficulties. There are no classes in Minecraft Dungeons, with playstyles being defined by your choice of artifacts. You can hold up to 3 of these at a time, and they each provide either healing, utility, or damage dealing. One artifact let me consume the souls of my victims to heal myself, while another one lets me use those souls to produce a large AoE explosion around me. There are at least a dozen of these artifacts to choose from, and while some of them are less valuable than others, most have their place. The freedom to use any artifact you please is greatly undermined by the game's health and sustain balancing. Your potion is on an extremely long cooldown, and health drops are very rare. This means that at least one slot will almost always be taken up by a healing item. Enemy numbers and damage output in higher difficulties also make defensive cooldowns a must if you're playing a melee-focused build. Your roll also doesn't roll you through enemies, meaning you'll often get boxed in without the artifact that permits this. In general terms, your artifact choices will be guided by the need to solve game design limitations rather than by your desire to build fun, unique playstyles. This, coupled with the basic melee or ranged click-based combat, makes the whole package feel rather repetitive. Weapon enchants are supposed to alleviate this somewhat, but they also fall flat. You'll typically rely on the same 2 or 3 enchants the entire time, needing to prioritize healing and survivability. Worse still is the way that weapon experimentation is prohibited due to the upgrade system. Each level you get an upgrade point to put into a weapon or your armor, and the only way to retrieve that point is to destroy the item. You may find a nice side grade, but you'll be unable to test it out as you won't have any upgrade points available without first destroying your existing weapon, meaning you're likely to hold off and continue waiting for a more definitive upgrade. Item drops are rare when playing through the base difficulty, typically in the area of 2 to 3 item drops per run. In later difficulties, this increases to approximately 5 to 6 items per run. Even with this increase, item drops feel too rare. You'll typically gain far more items from your vendor back at camp than you will from missions. The biggest challenge to Minecraft Dungeons combat and progression is that you're unable to build a character how you want to build them. In other ARPGs, classes, talent trees, and ability pools allow you to build an identity and then arm yourself for that role. In Minecraft Dungeons, you are never building towards a specific build identity or playstyle because the game is constantly forcing you to use the highest level gear on hand so you can continue to progress, and because your artifact or enchant choices are more about staying alive than having fun. Minecraft Dungeons is available on PC through the Windows Store only and on Xbox. It does not offer crossplay. I reviewed the game on PC, and while I found the PC performance to be very stable, server stability was a big issue. In my 11 or so hours with the game, I've been disconnected in excess of 20 or 25 times, usually at the end of a level, but sometimes during the middle. More broadly, I found the game to be extremely buggy. I had enemies dropping through the world, I had enemies getting caught on geometry, I would often get stuck on geometry, particularly staircases. I would sometimes get knocked into areas that I couldn't escape from and I'd have to restart the mission. I had graphical glitches. The game has DLC levels promised in future, as well as purchasable character skins. I don't think that a game this light on content should be charging for additional content this early in its life cycle. Surprisingly, Minecraft Dungeons does not feature any of the building, destruction, or crafting features for which the franchise is best known. There would have been scope for base building or building defensive structures during missions or crafting your own unique weapons or heaps of other stuff. With so much potential there, the current state of Minecraft Dungeons feels like a wasted opportunity and a very phoned-in affair. Minecraft Dungeons is the smallest, shortest, most basic ARPG on the market today. It feels like it would be right at home on the Apple or Android app stores, but on PC or Xbox it feels shallow and incomplete. I would not recommend it to an adult, single-player focused person, but those looking to play co-op or those looking for a new kids title might find some value here. At $20 US, the title is well priced, and it's also available on Xbox Game Pass, making it even better value if you happen to be a subscriber. Minecraft Dungeons was never shooting to be the next big thing in ARPGs, so if you're just looking for a few hours of laughs with friends or your kid, then hopefully you'll find enough in here to enjoy.